Our next speaker is a lifelong resident of the area who spent 25 years in community activism before being elected as Member of Parliament for the constituency of Mitcham and Morden in 1997. Could I please invite Siobhan McDonough to address us?
Good evening, Your Holiness, Mr. President, mayors, mayoresses, councillors, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for inviting me to your peace seminar today, and thank you for inviting me once again to this extraordinarily landmark in Morden. I have been told by my friends and colleagues in politics that it's an honour to give a speech at the FUTUH mosque, as it's considered to be the largest mosque in Western Europe. Looking around, it is indeed an architectural beauty, and it is astonishing to me that you were able to build this mosque together from voluntary contributions from within your own community. You are clearly a strong, cohesive community. And I think this vision of a strong, cohesive community is where I would like to focus my thoughts on today. I want to talk about what makes us, you and I, and the rest of Britain, of all faiths and no faiths, a strong, cohesive community. I want to talk about what we have in common, and more importantly, the values that we share. When I think about some of the important values in Islam, or at least those that I'm familiar with, I'm amazed that there is any tension at all between the Muslim community in Britain and other British communities and faiths. When I discuss these values with people, I'm shocked at the stereotypes and misconceptions that exist about your faith. It is extraordinary that anyone who knows anything about Islam can associate your faith with the actions of violent Islamic extremists. It is a terrible injustice to Islam and to your religion, because it is a peaceful religion. From what I know, Islam is a religion based on tolerance and respect, and it is a religion that encourages all people to practice their own faiths without hindrance and without threats, the freedom of speech and the freedom of religion. Your faith is built on the rights of life, equality, tolerance and justice. And most of all, Islam teaches us all that unless you are at peace with other human beings, you cannot find peace with God. Without a doubt, these are commendable values in your faith, and without a doubt, these are the values that I share and most of our community share with you. And note, it is these and other similar values that make us a strong, cohesive community in Britain. But note too, it is these shared values that stand all of us apart from the violent jihadi extremists. The violent Islamic extremists do not share our, that is yours and mine, commitment to a peaceful and harmonious society. These violent extremists do not want to live side by side with other communities and faiths, and they do not want to compromise. There is a violent war based on extremism, intolerance and hatred. I know that you know this, and I know that it's an abomination that these violent extremists claim to be acting under the teachings of your faith. But I can imagine to some extent how you and your community feel about this. As a Catholic, every time I think about those who died in the Omagh bombing in the name of Catholic Ireland, I feel shame. The Ahmadiyya community in particular, to be pigeonholed with violent terrorism of people who would choose to blow up innocent people of all faiths and no faiths on trains must be excruciating. Because even from a local perspective, it is obvious to me that the Ahmadiyyan community is an integrated community and that you value and contribute to the neighbourhood that you live in. Your faith is dedicated to serving the society that you live in, and from what I've seen, heard and experienced from mainstream charities, schools and churches, your faith and community have contributed in significant ways. I have heard from a local head teacher how the presence of children from the Ahmadiyyan community has helped to turn her school around from a poor-performing school to one of increasing excellence. I've heard from Reverend Skinner of St Lawrence's just across the road the contribution that you make to the local faith community, and on a more prosaic level the contribution you make to Morden Park Playing Fields Association. I have personally experienced and heard that you have raised tens of thousands of pounds on sponsored walks for children, older people and people with disabilities. You have dedicated yourselves to charitable social projects, and most significantly of all, you have not distinguished between faiths, ethnicities or communities. At a time when you could be forgiven for consolidating all your efforts in building your community in this part of South London. The Ahmadiyyan community have an extraordinary reputation abroad for charitable work in Africa, India, Bosnia and Indonesia, amongst other places. But note, your community here too have an extraordinary reputation. You have been generous with your time and resources, and you have made yourselves part of the wider community, even sadly when there has been some resistance from the British National Party. Your community and the broader Islamic community generally has stood firm in the face of much criticism and hostility since September 2001. You have continued to demonstrate that you are indeed an integrated, cohesive community, both within the Islamic community generally and outside with other faiths and communities. You have continued your tireless contributions to the local neighbourhood, and you have entrenched yourselves permanently in the wider part of British community. You have achieved much to be admired, and you have truly adhered to your motto: love for all, hatred for none.